going to be talking about the new rule book. I haven't slept in a week. Now, if you believe me, I'm serious. I haven't slept in a week. This book is absolutely crazy. Lots of changes. Before I had the book, I didn't want to read too much on Facebook and look at all the comments about it because I kept seeing things like, oh, I don't even know why they bothered. There were only a few changes, or things like that. And so I said, wow, if that's the case, why would they have bothered, to put this all together and create a new edition? Well, lo and behold, I get this book and I start going through it. And from almost page 1, I'm seeing changes. Some of them are more subtle than others. Some of them are major. Some of them not that significant at all. But nonetheless, we have a lot of changes. So I'm going to go ahead and officially get started by sharing my screen. And I want to welcome everybody here tonight. Thank you so much for coming and joining me. It's a pleasure to spend any night with you talking about Mahjong. I'm Debbie Barnett, for those of you who don't know me, and I'm all about Mahjong. I run Mahjong events. My Facebook group is MahjCon and Ask the Mahjong Teacher and the Mahjong Canasta Menagerie Market. The latter two I co-host with Tina Goddess. So just always immersed in a lot of good Mahjong stuff. Now I am going to share my screen. This is the live stream series number 10. I was doing these special series once a month, and a few times during the year, things come up and I'm not able to do them. But this is the 10th of the monthly series, and it's all about the new Mahjong Made Easy 2024 updated National Mahjong League rules. And I'm just going to go through a little introduction. We're going to be going over additions, updates, clarifications, a bit of commentary, and then I'm going to open it up to Q&A. Now, like I said earlier, I was sort of teasing. Grace watching from Zoom wanted me to also mention MahjX. Yes, I'm a part of the new MahjX version, and it's very exciting. So that's the MahjX Facebook group, and of course, MahjX.com. Go there to learn more about it. I am going to open it up after the Q&A. And like I said earlier, I have lost sleep over this book because I just wanted to make sure that I got everything down that's changed. And so I went through and I created a Word document that I've turned into a PDF document, which is complete as far as I'm concerned, with all of the nuances, changes, word changes, things like that, pretty much complete. That will be available for you to grab from the show notes after if you want that. Now, I welcome you to read it through and let me know if I've missed anything that's significant, anything important. Please, I'll update mine. I'm human. I do miss things and make mistakes, but it was a lot. So you'll see as we go through this, and these are only the major things that I thought were significant enough and important enough to discuss with you guys tonight. So, and before we get started, I do want to mention Mahjpedia. It's the first and only Mahjong rule app out there. You can scan this code to try it out for free for 3 days. It's a lot of fun. And it is almost completely updated with all of the 2024 rules in it. Most of the new ones are already updated, and the ones that are repeat, I have to just go in and change the source to 2024. So you search for something, you're going to find the rules. Also, searching less is more. You don't want to put in a ton of words. You want to put in a few, like exposures, dead hand, things like that. It's going to tell you where you're going to be able to find that rule in Mahjong Made Easy. Great thing to have when you're playing. I don't know about any of you guys, but I could tell you that there have been arguments that have ensued around the Mahjong table over a rule. And I've always been the one that's had to call the league and report back to my group. Well, when you have this on your phone, you just click on it, search from any page. You don't have to go backwards, just search, and you find the rules right there at your fingertips. No worrying about any kind of arguments around the Mahjong table. So try it out. A lot of fun. $4.99. You can't even buy a cup of coffee these days for $4.99. It's well worth it. Okay, if everybody's got that, I'm going to go ahead and continue on now. We're going to get started. All right, Mahjong Made Easy. The actual copyright of the book says 2023, but the table of contents refers to it as 2024. That was a little confusing to me because I always thought that if something had an edition date of 2023, it would be the 2023 version, but they're the boss when it comes to this book. So that's the deal. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with going right through page by page. If there wasn't any change, there won't be anything noted here. And on that full form that I'm going to give you a link to, it will note a page if I didn't see any changes on it. So the first thing we have is page 5 under the heading description of Mahjong tiles and cards. The following sentence has been added. This has never been there before. And it says, all other groupings such as news 33669 or tiles that represent a year are considered singles and pairs. Okay, it's good information, especially for newer players. And we go on now to page number 5 under the heading building and breaking the wall and use of dice. The dice are used to break the wall in order to randomize where the wall is broken. This is done to prevent cheating. I do want to mention here that all of these rules, the ones that are new in here completely, the ones that have been clarified, amended, are because they were once in a bulletin or a letter to a player. Oh, there's still plenty out there that are not, that didn't make it to the book, but it's a whole heck of a lot better than it was. So kudos to the National Mahjong League. All right, so that's one thing, prevents cheating. And I get asked this all the time. Why do we have to break the wall? Why do we break the wall? Well, yes, people cheated, and that's why we have the wall break. All right. Now we're going to go on to, oh, and by the way, if you have a question on one of them, please put that in that comment. Just say page 10 and ask me the question so I can refresh myself with what we talked about, please. Page 10, paragraph 1, the following sentence has been added. These tiles are then pushed back flush against east rack and moved to the right. I love this addition. How many of you actually take the wall once you break it and slide it to either the middle or all the way to the left? There's got to be a few, I'm sure, because I see it done all the time. The wall remains on the right side. That's where it came from. It is not meant to be moved down. It also provides a wonderful visual, especially for newer players, because to the left of that break, you have an opening there. And that is a guide to say, oh, that's the wall tiles are missing from there. Well, what do I need to push out next? And that would be the walls to the left or clockwise. So I love this edition a lot. Moving on to page 10, paragraph 1, the following two sentences have been added. Once all players have the correct number of tiles, these tiles may be placed on the slope portion of the rack. The dice should be passed to the player on the right of east, will then become the next east. I love this one too. I think this is a great addition because I see people taking their stack of four and putting them up on their rack, taking their next stack of four and putting them up on the rack. Well, what's going to happen if they have the right amount of tiles? So visually, and I've been playing since I'm in my mid-20s, I don't touch my tiles until they're 3 stacks of 3, and then either the first and third or my 13th tile, and then I rack them. So I love this because now it's in the book. Mahjong Made Easy, page 12, under the heading The First Charleston. This is another really nice addition. They have added the names of the passes. First right, first across, first left. Now, all the years I've been playing, we would just say first right, across, first left, second left, across, last right. But over the years, people have been adding the term first across and a must across when it comes to the second across. I kind of like this addition. I think it's pretty cool. So instead of having pass 1 alone, pass 2, pass 3, they actually have the names. I think this is wonderful. Now, under the third pass, interesting change. They have changed the word take to steal when you're doing a blind pass. Well, when you take something, you may return it, right? When you steal something, are you likely to return it unless you get caught by the authorities? And then you may have to. No, I am really not happy with this word. But nonetheless, what can we do? We got to live with it. But I thought that was interesting. On page 13, under the second Charleston, it says, if any player objects, the second Charleston is not played. So the wording is now very different here. This clearly says it is incumbent upon the player who's stopping the Charleston to say, I want to stop it. Most of you, I'm sure, know this, but I'm going to mention this for those that may be newer players. If you think you might want to stop the Charleston, you need to heed the warning during the first left. And I would just say something like, go slow, because I may want to stop it. And that's easy to do. You could use any word you want, but that would be easy to do. Under the note on that page, it says, if all players need to do a blind pass, you now begin with the player who has the highest number of tiles to pass. Before, it said you begin with East. Now, I haven't figured out any difference between whether East starts it or the highest number starts it. But if anybody has done any experimenting with this, or you're good with these kind of things with the numbers, like if somebody starts with this many and another one, let me know, because I can't really figure out why there would be a big difference whether they kept the wording if East starts with the IOU or if the highest player. So this is all about when all the players have to do a blind pass. This is where they changed it to the highest number instead of East starting that. And that was in there last year, the IOU, so that's nothing new. All right, on page 14, under other tips and rules for the Charleston, the following changes and/or new bullets have been added. So bullet number 1, if the player to the left of East is the player missing a tile, the player may take the next tile from the wall since it was rightfully yours. This may only be done before East discards. I like this addition. So if during the Charleston, before there's a discard and East starts out the game, and this happened to me the other day, and I was like, oh, shoot, it's officially in the book. But again, all of these things have been in bulletins or letters. So they're just now getting into the book, which is great. But that happened to me. All of a sudden, I realized I didn't grab my 13th tile, and I was the one left of East. So yay, I got to take it. Cool. All right, bullet number 8. At the end of the Charleston, players should confirm they have the correct number of tiles. If it is discovered that a player has the incorrect number of tiles, with the exception of the player to the left of East, the hands are thrown in and a new game is begun. Another new addition is the game does not officially begin until East throws the first tile. If a player other than East discards the first tile, actually, I think this one is the wording. So, some of this was in there, so some of this is new wording. East discards the first tile, they may take it back, and East then proceeds to throw the first tile and begin the game. So if somebody else other than East discards a tile, they can take it back and the right East can discard. However, if a player other than East picks from the wall and discards the first tile, play cannot continue. The tiles are thrown in and a new game is begun. Now, what's not in the book is what if someone other than the rightful East rolls the dice and breaks the wall and has started dealing out everything and isn't noticed until after. And somebody says, whoa, wait a minute, I was supposed to be East. That's not in there. So there I already have my notepad ready to go with new questions and confirmations of things I've noticed. All right, let's move on to the next page, which is page 15. Paragraph 1 now includes the following sentences. It is permissible to say wait or hold before verbalizing a call. A caller is committed to taking a tile once the call tile has been placed on top of the rack or tiles have been exposed from the hand. This was another thing that was in a letter. I think it was in a bulletin as well. But wait or hold is enough to get someone to stop to say, hey, I may want the tile. Now, I'm not going to, there's something that's come up a little later on that I will mention about this, but I'm not going to bring it up right now. But we're going to circle back and remember this particular rule. So this is nice. I think it's a nice addition. All of these things, which were not part of the rules, somebody said, well, what happens if you say wait or you say hold? And they write to the league and the league sends back a letter with an answer and they find it worthy enough to put in their book. Paragraph 2 now includes the following wording. A called tile should be placed on top of the rack and not in the rack. It is preferable to place the called tile on top of your rack before taking the tiles from your rack to make an exposure. I love this one. This was not clarified in last year's book. So I've always taught you call a tile, you take the tile off the table first and put it up on your rack. And now it's in there in black and white and I love it. So this is the way it should be done. Now, called tile should be, I would like the words must be. I would like to replace all of the should be's with must be's, but they're not all going to be there. So sorry. All right, on page 17, under the rules and penalties, number 4 has been updated. Once a tile is fully named or touches the table, the discarder cannot take it back and cannot use it for a joker exchange. So there's been a lot of discrepancy about this rule, bulletins over the years, probably letters, about whether it's named or fully named. And this year it clarifies it fully named. What is fully named? Oh, that could be up for debate. But if you say one and you stop, you have not said the full name. One crack, one dot, whatever. If you say red, since that's what we refer to a red dragon, red is fully named. So you can't really argue about it. But I didn't say the word dragon. Well, we don't use the word dragon when we name our dragons. So hopefully there won't be too many arguments about what's fully named here. Now, number 8, the last sentence has been added. This is brand new. Tapping or clicking the rack with the tile is not considered racking. This is probably my favorite one in the whole book. Why is it my favorite one? Well, there are a lot of people teaching Mahjong out there. And I'm going to first of all say I have a lot of gratitude and appreciate everybody teaching and spreading this game. I really do. But there are some that are teaching some, like, I want to say bizarre rules, but they kind of are bizarre rules. And what's been going on is that people are being taught to pick up their, take their tile from the wall and tap it or click it on the top of their rack. Some are doing a double tap, some are doing one tap, some are even just tapping it in the slanted part. And when I see this happen, I always ask, you know, where did you learn that from? And they say, my teacher taught me that. They said that's what racking a tile is. Well, guess what? It is not racking a tile. So if you're going to be a clicker, just know that you do not close the window of opportunity for that previous discard, and anybody can still take it. And so it's very important to get in the habit of fully racking a tile. Page 18, under rules and penalties, it repeats what's on page 15. I guess they really thought this was important. It is permissible to say wait or hold before verbalizing a call. Number 12 on page 18, you are committed to taking a tile from the wall once you have moved the tile. And number 13, you are committed to taking claim discard once you have either placed the claim tile or exposed tiles on your rack. And this is also a repeat from page 15. A claim tile should not be placed in the hand. So I really like that they're repeating these again. I'm not really sure why they have to, but I guess the different sections warrant it. All right, now on page 19, also under rules and penalties, we have number 15, which is new wording. A player cannot announce that their hand is dead. And we're going to talk a little bit about this one because I do think this could be a bit problematic, but we'll just have to see how it plays out over the year. It is not officially dead until another player verifies that Mahjong cannot be made based on tiles that are visible to all players. Okay, I know over the years, no player has waited for another player, or consciously waited for another player to call their hand dead. Most players are very, well, what they think is being very honest and says, oh my God, my hand is dead. Or they may verbally say something like, oh, there goes my last tile, my hand is dead. Or whatever. I don't have enough tiles on my rack. I have too many tiles on my rack, whatever it is. But this has been a big discussion, and lots of times it's been in the bulletin, and there have been letters to players. But they're now putting it in the book. You are not to announce your own hand dead. Period. The end. No matter how bizarre it seems to you, you don't announce it dead. Wait for someone else to do that declaration. So you don't call your own hand dead. All right, now moving on to 15C, which is also new. Incorrect exposure. A player has exposed tiles which do not comprise a pung, kong, quint, or sextet, i.e. news, a year grouping, or non-identical tiles. That's new in this section. And we had something not exactly the same, but similar early on in the book. 15G is new as well, picking ahead. If a player discards a tile before picking from the wall, the player's hand is dead. 15H has new wording, picking out a turn. If the tile is racked, it remains with the dead hand. If it is not racked and another player, so this is if it is not racked, and another player immediately notices it's placed back in the wall. If it's discarded, it's a dead tile, and you cannot call it except for Mahjong. If it is called for Mahjong, the game stops, and the discarder pays 4 times the value of the hand to the winner. So this is new wording in that particular rule, which is, I think, great because it really clarifies things. All right, page 20, same thing, rules and penalties, number 18. Additional wording was added to this one, and a repeat from page 19. If you announce that your hand is dead, it is not officially dead. Again, here they're re-emphasizing this, so they think this is important enough to mention until another player verifies that Mahjong cannot be made. It's a tricky one, but you really never should. Okay. 21, number 19. This is newly added in this section, but has repeated information from page 19D and page 20, number 18. A hand may be called dead by another player, by any other player, based on exposures and discards that are visible to all. Players may issue a direct challenge, but questioning or commenting on whether a hand is dead is also considered a challenge. So even if you're not sure, whatever you start a conversation, you're actually starting a challenge. Okay, a direct challenge. Any discussion regarding a challenge should be between the challenger and the player. This is really good, meaty stuff that they put in here. Other players should remain silent. Players being challenged may accept the challenge and stop playing or disagree. And I believe that there's some words missing. It should say, if you accept the challenge, you stop playing, or disagree, you continue playing. Just makes sense. Challenger may explain that the basis for the challenge but player being challenged should not reveal any information regarding their hand. This is really good, meaty stuff about the death challenge. I don't like that term, but that's what they've always called it, the death challenge. They don't have that in the book, but. All right, under the Mahjong and Era section, number 3 is new. If a player declares Mahjong on a discard and places the discard on top of their rack or exposes tiles from their rack, and then finds they do not have Mahjong, they may change their declaration from Mahjong to calling in exposure. The game continues without penalty. And this is in conjunction with the rule that as long as you have only put up one exposure, if you say Mahjong and you've only put up one exposure only, you can change your Mahjong declaration. That was one thing going on around in letters and wrong letters and right letters and, oh my goodness, all kinds of things. All right, now on page 24, we're going to special rulings for use of jokers. Number 13, the very last sentence of number 13 on page 24 has been added. If no announcements is made and the symbol tile touches the table, it's considered discarded and the joker may not be redeemed. I really like the addition of this rule. I really like it. Because in tournament play, they're very strict with this. And the hand-to-hand exchange that we do when we do a joker will prevent this from ever happening. If you don't already do it, and I know a lot of people don't, because I see a lot of people, they don't announce it, and they see the joker, they take their tile and they swing it across the table. Okay, what are you doing? Well, you didn't announce it. Your tile touched the table. Well, guess what? That tile is down. And they're very strict when it comes to this in tournaments. So I like that this has been added. This is a good one for me. The last sentence in 14 has been added. And this one here, I think is also a great addition. If you do a joker exchange and you have handed the wrong natural tile, the wrong symbol tile to the person that you're doing a joker exchange with, and you see that you did it before you discarded, you can correct it without penalty. This one was clarified by the league on their website, but there is a wording error. I'm shocked. No. Boy, I hope nobody's listening. But it says the wrong player discards. So if you read it, you'll see it. It's under their FAQ. You can go and take a look at how that is worded. All right, let's move on. Page 25 under rules for bettors. Number 1 is new. This is pretty meaty. When the Charleston has been completed, a 5th player acting as a bettor may bet on the player they believe is most likely to win. The bettor indicates a bet by writing the player's name on a blank piece of paper, concealed from the others, or by using the betting disc known as the bettor. The disc contains 4 numerals, and you've got east is 1, player 2 to the right, 2, player 3, player opposite of east is 3, and the player to the left of east is number 4. So you can use the betting disc, but most of us use a piece of paper. And actually, I really like the method that we use when we write down a bet. We write everybody's name that's playing that day, and then I take a paper clip and slide it on the paper, and you just slide the paper clip over the player's name. I think that's pretty cool because you don't have to write anything. So each time you do a new bet, you just change it. Pretty cool. All right, now number 5 under rules for bettors, the last sentence here is brand new. If the bettor in any way interferes in the play of the game, their bet is canceled. This is another one. I mean, God, these things that I'm talking about, like they're so vivid in my mind, you know, with either bulletins or letters. And, you know, so many people share the letters they receive. So you end up seeing most of them. But this one, I think, is a good addition as well. On page 31, oh, we're getting to the end, actually. Reminders and helpful hints. The following paragraph have been added. Paragraph number 2. All right, so paragraph 2 under reminders and helpful hints says a caller is committed to taking a tile once the call tile has been placed on top of their rack or tiles have been exposed from the hand. Now, this is going to sound familiar because this was also on page 15. So that reminder and helpful hints section doesn't have all reminders and helpful hints, but they have picked and chosen certain ones that they feel warrant another reminder or hint, and that is one of them. Being that this one I think is fabulous, I do like it there. Number 3 is clarified. So it's been clarified, it's been updated. If it is obvious that a player needs either a single tile or a pair to make Mahjong, and all the needed tiles have been discarded or exposed by other players, a player's hand may be declared dead. Player whose hand is declared dead would discontinue picking and discarding, and this is also on 19E. So if this sounds familiar to you, this is also a repeat. Reminder, paragraph 9, if a tile from the wall is accidentally overturned, it must be returned to the same position from which it fell. It is not returned to another location. I love this is new, and I love this one. Yep, this has been asked a lot. Never made it to the book until this year. Now, coming to the very end here, we have our glossary, which they call explanation of terms used in Mahjong instead of a glossary. And I made a note. There are a lot of little teeny changes or wording changes or missing, you know, they removed words or added words. I didn't put all of those in there. I only mentioned the ones that I thought were significant. The term call has additional wording. To verbalize intent to claim a tile that has been discarded from another player for exposure or Mahjong, caller may say call, take, I want that, etc. So that's been updated in the back of the book under the terms. The term covered has been removed. It's no longer there. The term finesse move has been added. When the last move before declaring Mahjong consists of making a joker exchange using a tile from one's hand. That's pretty cool. That one was added to the back. I like that. And let's skip the next bullet and let's go to the, I'm going to come back to that next one with the hold. The term paying for the table has been added. Errant player pays 4 times the value of the hand. Whether somebody pays for the table or pays 4 times the value of a hand, it's all the same. And it's still not consistently written throughout the book, but it's all the same. The term take has been removed because it's been added to the first bullet there that I show you for the term call. Now let's talk about the last one, which is the term hold has been added. And here's what's interesting about this. Hold has been added. Hold, a way to stop the play before possibly making a call. Player may also use wait. If a player next in turn makes a call, they are entitled to the tile. Okay, the reason I said earlier when we talked about the hold in there, this here, it's interesting because they don't have this in the book as a rule, but they have it under the explanation of terms. And I find that very interesting. So the way this works is if player C says hold and player B says call, player B gets it, even though hold is an acceptable term to get the picking the game to stop short. Believe it or not, I have a letter in writing from a few years ago that actually says if a player says wait, you give them the courtesy of getting their answer. But now they've changed that rule. So even though I had it in writing, oh, that's not the way it goes. So that's that here. All right, in summary, we are grateful to the National Mahjong League for updating Mahjong Made Easy. And I really do mean that from the bottom of my heart. There have been substantial changes to the 2024 Mahjong Made Easy, as you can see, not just things, right? There are still some missing pieces to some of the rules noted in the book. And there will be a link in the show notes after this is uploaded to YouTube with a PDF version of the complete compilation of all the changes. You can grab that for yourself and print it out and go through the book and see if you could find something I missed. If I did, like I said, please contact me. You can reach me at Debbie@MahjCon.com. That's MahjCon.com. And now I'm going to look to see if there are any questions. And so the first question I had come in was from Sandra, who said, I'm not sure how a player can cheat when breaking the wall. No, breaking the wall prevents cheating. It's when you don't break the wall that you can cheat. And in case you're still wondering how that can be done, it's very easy. You are mixing up the tiles, you're turning them over. You're next to be east, and you conveniently take a few jokers and put them in the first 4 tiles. If there's no break in the wall and east pushes out that wall and grabs those first 4 tiles, they can get a couple of jokers. And that has happened, and people have been caught. If they weren't caught, they would not all have become an issue at all, and the breaking the wall would not have been done. So unfortunately, people, I don't know, people cheat. It's kind of interesting, right? All right, let's see. On slide 20, can we review the hold comment? Yes, we can. Absolutely. Who's next gets the tile? I need to hear that again. Okay, player C or D says hold, and player A or B says call. The priority player gets the tile because call is a definite verbal cue that you want to take the discard, while wait is merely somebody thinking about it. Hopefully that answers your question. If player puts a called tile in his rack rather than on his rack, his hand is dead, question mark. Well, if it doesn't say the hand is dead, then that means there's no penalty attached. But they're trying to emphasize and make it a little bit more firm to say you're not supposed to do it. But there's still a lot of rules without penalties attached to them. But there's still rules. I had a whole live stream on rules without penalties. So yes, a rule is a rule. Just because you don't have a penalty attached, it's still a rule, right? When you were in school and you had to go up the steps on the right side and come down on the left side, if you didn't do it the right way, you weren't penalized. I mean, unless you were really a bad kid and kept doing it, you were just reminded of it, right? So it's kind of like that sort of thing. All right, let's see on YouTube if I have any questions before I go back to Zoom. So glad that the tapping habit can be quashed. Oh yes, Linda, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Committed only if no one calls discard before you rack. Yes, if somebody calls a discard and you have not racked it yet, if somebody calls a discard and you have not racked your tile, the caller gets that tile and you have to put that tile back in the wall. So you definitely want to make sure you get that racked. Since you can't call your own hand dead, this is from Bill, but you do, what happens? Are you then declared dead? Bill, that's a good question. And you know, this rule about not calling your own hand dead, I'm really on the fence about this. I really am. If you call your hand dead, I was just having this conversation with a friend, I think yesterday, the day before. If you call your hand dead, it's not dead until somebody else calls it dead, which is a little bizarre. So you say, I'm dead, and somebody else doesn't want to call you dead. Now, I can think of a reason why that might be the case. Can anybody else put it in chat quickly if you know why somebody might not call your hand dead? Let's just say that if you call your own hand dead, you're not dead. It says it more than one place. So while you're letting me know, if you know why, I'm going to look to see if more questions here. Can I repeat the name of the Mahjong app that I mentioned? Yes, and of course this will be up on YouTube as well for you to go grab it. And there's also the app is Mahjpedia, MahjPedia. There's also on my YouTube channel a how to use it video, so you can take a look at how to actually use it efficiently. For those of you used to using searchable databases and searchable things, you know the rules of searching, but some people don't. So I did a video. Shirley says from YouTube, let's see who else said it here. Yes, okay. Amy and Monty and Agnes and Pat and Grace and Shirley and Carol and many, many more got that answer right. And that is, there are jokers in the exposures. And so you may not want to call a hand dead because of, let's say there's a concealed hand and the player says, oops, I'm playing a concealed hand and there are jokers up there. If you don't call them dead, you can still grab the jokers and then after that call them dead. So you get more picks from the wall. Oh, it's a little underhanded in a way, but it's allowed. So, you know, it's all part of the game. It's a little bit of crazy strategy. I was playing consecutive run, first line, second part, beginning with Patty says. I called, beginning with a pair of fives. I called Mahjong without noticing I didn't have the sixes I needed, called myself dead, and it was obviously I was dead. What should I have done? Again, if you called Mahjong and you put up an incorrect Mahjong, somebody should notice that, because everybody's supposed to verify a valid Mahjong before they throw in their tiles. How many of us have been very anxious and somebody says Mahjong and you dump your tiles over, right? We've all done that. I'm trying to get out of that habit myself, because you definitely don't want to do that, because somebody could have an invalid Mahjong. And then you've gone dead because you've thrown your tiles in. So that's the deal. I hope that answered you. Let's see if anybody else has any more questions here. Okay. And on YouTube, I don't think so. If there are any more questions, go ahead and put them in now. Oh, there is one more that came in. Once called dead, are tiles re-racked so others can't see the continuation of the game? I have mixed feelings about this as well. And this might be something I write to the league about. Right now, the way it works is that if somebody has an exposure that made a hand dead, that exposure, if it has jokers, goes back in the rack. So you don't get confused with what jokers are good jokers and still available for exchange. With a concealed hand, the entire hand's supposed to go back in the rack. But I see that to be a little problematic in that there is a way, it's in the book, it's a rule, that you can call somebody's hand dead because of what's on the table or in exposures. Well, if somebody's hand or even one exposure is returned to somebody's rack, who's going to remember what was returned to somebody's rack? So I really see that as being a challenge, a problem, and something that needs to be changed. There's a few different things that we can do. But what about just maybe, I was going to say turn them over, but even turning them over, you can't see them. But what about flipping them upside down or even sideways? I mean, something can be done so that we could still see what was there. So in case you need to call somebody else's hand dead because of what's been exposed or on the table, you can do it. Otherwise, unless I'm missing something, I don't see how it can be done. But that's my take on it. So I think that is it. Show the tile with scan. Okay, somebody wants me to show this. Here we go. You can scan it right from here. It will take you right to being able to download this from the App Store or the Play Store. This concludes this live stream series number 10. You know, I know these rules are kind of cut and dry, and it's a little bit challenging to make these events really exciting, but they're really informative. So I hope you all got a lot out of it. Again, look out for that PDF. And I'm also going to have the PDF in my files on MahjCon, MahjCon Facebook group. And I'll also have it in the files of Ask the Mahjong Teacher, so you can grab it there. That will be there probably tomorrow morning. For anybody who is rewatching this video, I just want to repeat again, if you find anything that I have missed from this Mahjong Made Easy 2024, I welcome your information. You're emailing me at debbie@mahjcon.com and letting me know. Always open to improving. And I thank everybody watching from YouTube, everybody who joined on Zoom tonight. Appreciate you being here. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, a lot of good information, a lot of past events that are very informative. There were 9 previous events like this with good information. I will be having the 2024 card review as well. I know there are a lot of people that do it, but I also do it. So I'll be having that coming up in posted as soon as the card comes and I've had a chance to study it. And again, thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and I'll see you all very soon. Good night, everybody. Good night.